Hello, in today's episode, we're gonna look at the agenda being pushed into homes by a big movie corporation like Disney. We'll also look at how you can avoid it and what's a good alternative, and also what can they do to make themselves better. What's our role in that? This is Lighthouse with Elijah Lee. We all know and love the old classic films. Like, this might be too far back, but Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or Mary Poppins, these are all classic films that we remember, we enjoy, and lots of them have very memorable moments or great songs that we all know and love. And when we hear them, we immediately think back to them. It's a positive thought because we can say that those were good movies and that there were good things taught in those movies, and we learned even perhaps from those movies. And that was the great thing about old classic films. But recently, the film industry has kind of gone underwater, and it's been sinking for a good bit now. And this is because liberal policies are being pushed into Hollywood. And it's not good because what Hollywood is and what the film industry is, first we need to kind of understand this. They are making what you watch, and what you watch affects you, not just during the time you watch that film, but it affects you after. If it's a really moving film, you'll be thinking about that film through the next couple days. I know watching certain war films, the next day you wake up thinking about it because that's what it did to you. It was that powerful, it was that strong. And it kind of gets into your head, and it's hard to sleep. Sometimes it's hard to even just have a normal day because your mind keeps going back to that if it's an especially moving film. And those are when you know it's a good movie. But my point is that is what's going into your head, and that's what's going to stay in your head. And whether we like it or not, what we watch is going to translate into what we do, how we think. So it's safe to assume that watching good things is going to give us good thoughts and good morals, and we're going to learn good things from that. So keeping that in mind, what are you watching? What are you doing with yourself when you're on free time? Are you just scrolling shorts? Is that what you're doing? And what you're watching is going to affect what you do in normal life. And the film industry, do not be beguiled. They know this, and they try to preach through what they make, and they want you to accept their philosophy. They want you to accept what they do. And they find the best and easy way to do that is by putting it in your home through the products that they're making, in this case, films. And a big corporation, like I mentioned, Disney, they are someone who's been around for a long time, started with Walt Disney. You know, you remember Mickey Mouse, the old Mickey Mouse, and he started with making great cartoons. He went back to the Grimm's Brothers fairy tales from the 19th century, like Snow White. Then they kept going. There's Sleeping Beauty. We all remember that. There's Cinderella. And more modern, you have like Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Brave. These are kind of all fitting into that princess genre that kids grew up loving. I mean, I remember I used to be a little bit scared of the dragon from Sleeping Beauty, but it was always an interesting film to me because how the queen, kind of in her silent terror, could become something so great. But it always amazed me how the prince was so heroic, and he always seemed a little bit magical. Because I remember in the cartoon, he just kind of comes out of nowhere. That was a great manly figure, right? Even in a cartoon for kids, we saw that the man being the man, and he's doing what he's supposed to do, and he cares for a girl, in this case the princess, and he saves her. And that's the whole point of Sleeping Beauty. You know, it's true love's kiss in the end and everything. But as a kid, you watch that and you are not malaffected by that, unless you know the dragon really scares you, or Like in Snow White, the witch freaks you out, which is all understandable. But you don't come out of that movie negatively. You don't come out affected in a bad way. You come out, you learn something, and it's kind of cool, especially for the time in which it was made. And the songs are catchy, we think of songs from the original cartoons, and they take us back. It's nostalgic, even though we weren't watching them when we came out. Obviously, I'm very young. I was obviously not around when those movies were made, but even through my childhood, when I did watch those movies, and when I heard, like, I'd just be listening to music. I remember I used to love to listen to long Disney playlists, and those songs would come on, and I immediately knew what they were from, and I could sing along because they're memorable, and they're touching songs, and they're kind of boppy, they're fun to listen to, and that was classic Disney right there. We all loved that, and it was so innocent, and they weren't trying to push anything. You knew you could go and watch one of those films, and you would come out like, oh, that was a pretty good movie. That was enjoyable, had some good morals, and we all come out happy. And listen, nobody's malaffected by it. It's not. Nobody's gonna be distraught after watching that, and nobody's gonna come out going on to Rotten Tomatoes and saying, oh, this got a 22. I knew it was that bad. No, you come out expecting a high rating because these were old movies, and they even adhered to the original fairy tales to a pretty good extent. And that's not how it was moving forward for Disney, though. Disney kind of dropped off after making movies like Lion King, which was a huge hit. It was kind of after like a time when Disney had gone under and their production wasn't great, and they made Lion King and resurfaced. They blew up. They did great. Everyone loves them. Then they continued. They made movies like Tangled did really well. Tangled was an awesome movie. I remember watching Tangled for the first time, and it was hilarious. Flynn Rider, he's just great. He's a great character, and this is what the cartoon, like, the fact that I can talk about these cartoons and be like, okay, this is pretty funny, says a lot about the quality of the films coming out back then. Because even Tangled, to me, was a hilarious movie. I loved Tangled. And then there's movies like Brave or Big Hero 6. Big Hero 6 is a big one. No pun intended. And it was a movie that affected me, and it was cool. It was really, really cool, really well made, and the voice acting was incredible, dialogue, the story, everything was amazing. Such a touching, sad movie too, and it was hilarious. So all these things combined to make an excellent movie, and they were doing this consecutively and repeatedly. They were making good movies. But as kind of the wokeism, politically correctness kind of entered into Hollywood, which I had been kind of slowly doing throughout the years, we slowly declined. Disney slowly declined. All of Hollywood slowly declined. And so I decided, I'm going to go research this. I'm going to check this out because I felt like this was an important topic to talk about. Most people aren't thinking about, a political podcast. Well, he's going to talk about Disney. He's going to talk about Hollywood. And no, this is pretty important. The film industry is pretty important in our lives. And that's why I think we need to focus on it a little bit more and kind of figure out what it is that we believe and what it is we should even be allowing into our homes, because it's pretty important to know where you stand on that. But Disney was kind of falling out. And they decided that it wasn't enough just to make family-friendly films that we all enjoy, right? Things that we could go watch. We didn't feel polluted after watching it, and we all enjoyed it. And we didn't come out crying because it's so bad that I'm afraid I've lost my vision because I watched it. And that's how I feel with some of the movies. That's kind of how I feel. And it's because when you stop trying to have fun and you start pushing politics into everything, and politics into places where politics do not belong, an agenda where agenda does not belong, then you will have issues. And to be fair, Disney was doing really good. Hollywood itself, they if you just look at the old classics, nothing was being pushed in those, right? You can go outside the realm of Disney, because you take movies like Casablanca or even like the Ernest series, Ernest P. World. Those were amazing. Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Goes to Jail. Those are all awesome. Love those movies to this day. They're so good, and it's super enjoyable. You have movies like Braveheart and Gladiator and The Patriot, things like that you come out and you are the better for watching that movie, because what you learn from that movie. I remember after watching Gladiator, it's or The Patriot, it's kind of a heavy movie, because you realize, even though like Gladiator obviously is not super historically correct, there are things that are historically correct, and it's not a true story, but it's in those lines. And so people did enjoy going to the Gladiator rings, and they enjoyed watching people get massacred in the Colosseum. So you can kind of understand what they were going through after watching that kind of movie. And it's the same with like The Patriot. Just really, really quality movies. And that was before they were pushing anything. Now, instead, we have entered the dark ages of Hollywood. And it's kind of been coming on, but now we're really deep in it. And we need to get out. We need to get out as fast as possible, because the film industry is not doing well, because people are ignoring our pleas and our cries for something enjoyable. And instead, we're getting a lot of not enjoyable stuff. And I'll be pointing this out in today's episode, because it's important to know what you don't want to know. To be fair, all right, I didn't watch every movie Disney has ever produced, okay? So perhaps if you want to take that and say that I don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. I've watched many Disney films. I've watched many films. But if you want to take that and say I don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. I did my research, and we'll see. But those of you who have watched a film that I haven't, if I do if I don't say something correctly, if I misinformed, then please let me know about that. But this is an issue that Disney's had for a while, and that's feminism. What is feminism? It's the idea that the female race, basically, it's the idea that the female race is better than the male race, or on par. And here's the idea. It goes a lot deeper than that. It does. It goes a lot deeper than just women are better than guys. But here's the fact. We're all created equal. And no one's better than the other person. If you just take a look at our souls or our mentality, no one's better. But physically, men are physically stronger. If you take a natural man and a natural woman, the man is going to be physically stronger. That's science, and that's it's not just me saying things. I watched these. I don't know if any of you have seen these power slap competitions, but imagine if you took a man and put him up against a woman. That's just for comparison. That would not be fun to watch at all. That's not because men are better. It's because naturally men are stronger scientifically. So, that being the case, when you have a female character that easily disarms multiple male characters, and those male characters are trained in the same thing the female character is trained in, it's hard to watch. I was watching a scene from She-Hulk, and in this scene, her and the Hulk are fighting, and there's this clap power thing where they clap their hands, and basically the power of the clap blows the other being really far away. The Hulk does it first, and then She-Hulk picks it up and destroys him. And it's so dumb, because here's the fact. Even if you have a She-Hulk and you have a Hulk, because of science, the Hulk because he's male, will be stronger than the She-Hulk. It's just science. And obviously, we go look at the ratings for She-Hulk, and it did not do well. So I rest my case in that area. And that's not just me. Like I was saying, the rating itself are not good. So clearly, I'm not the only person who saw something wrong with this. She-Hulk was not a good idea. Like, imagine if you made William Wallace a female and made Braveheart, and you can already see how this would not work out. So most of the time, it's smart to go with the already understood character, and even better yet, to go with how the actual story should go. And we see Disney often changing the main story to be more inclusive. And here's the problem with that. I don't mind inclusivity, okay? Let's get all races in movies. It's good. But let's not also change the original narrative of a story. I have to bring up Snow White. I have to. I know I know we've heard about Snow White before. We've heard about the controversy surrounding the live action film, but I went and I watched the live action film. So you don't have to, and needless to say, I might have permanently lost my eyesight and my hearing. It was pretty bad. I tried to enjoy it. I really did. I went in because I was like, everyone hates this, and I'm gonna hate it too, and I'm gonna try to love it. I'm gonna try to find good things about it. The only good thing I could think of is that Dopey was kind of cute. Like, he was kind of sweet. Everything else was so bad, I wanted to cry. I kid you not. The name of the movie, if you look at the name of the movie and then look at the cover of the live action film, that should explain enough. It's Snow White. I'm sorry, but Rachel Zegler is not Snow White. And listen, the directors of that film, they accepted it. They knew she wasn't Snow White. So they had to change the narrative of the story, like I was talking about. And instead of her being pale white with black hair as coal, like the original fairy tale says, and then she has those rosy cheeks, instead, because of the color of her skin, which is not a bad thing. Again, it's not a bad thing. But you're changing the narrative of the original story that we all know and love. Go make your own film. Go make your own film, and then in that film, be as inclusive as you want. But don't change the story we know and love. And that's what they did to Snow White. And so they had to, instead, the reason her name is Snow White is because Ratchet Rachel, or Rachel Zegler, Snow White was born in a carriage in the middle of a blizzard. And to commemorate the day on which she was born, they called her Snow White. That was really hard for me to accept, because I read the original fairy tale, and I watched the cartoon, and we all know that's not why her name is Snow White. So because you changed the literal character, the main character, because you changed the main character, you also have to change the way she gets her name, you have to change other facts around her, and that's the part it's annoying. It's very annoying. When everyone loves a tale, don't change the tale. Keep the tale the same. Like I said, go make your own movie. Go enjoy that. Do what you want with that. But don't change what we love. And that was just Snow White. I mean, you weren't talking about the CGI dwarves, which should have been real people. Would have done way better if they were real people. They're just weird as CGI. In Gal Gadot, they let her sing, which was a really bad choice. I don't know. I went through that. It was so sad. I tried to enjoy it, guys, but I don't know. The choreography was not. It was not fire. No cap. It was pretty bad. But yeah, that was just the Snow White remake. I have a lot more I could say about that. I'm afraid if I do, I will have nightmares to haunt me the rest of my life. But then you have something like the Lightyear series, and they have a lesbian couple in the Lightyear series. And not to go into too much detail, but they do what a man and a woman should do after their marriage. They do that on camera, and it's very, very, very annoying that your kids are gonna go on Disney. They're gonna turn on that series, and that's what they're gonna see going into their heads. All right, you, as a listener, You guys know this podcast is mostly, I'm going for young people, teens. When you watch that film, you're letting that into your life, and you're accepting that. You are accepting that that is now normal, and it should never be the norm. So don't let it infiltrate you by watching it. Then there was a recent release like Elio, and there's a whole controversy behind that Elio was going to have, I believe it was gender dysphoria, and he was going to be, I think he even had posters and pictures in his room of a boy crush. Elio's a boy. And it didn't do well, so they re-scripted things, and now it's not that, but it could have been that, and when are they going to learn that this is not doing well? Their ratings have dropped significantly. Now, Lilo and Stitch is doing well, which is good. I watched it, and it was a good remake. I think they picked up a few things from their failure with Snow White, and they kind of fixed it up and went to work there, and they did. I did enjoy that remake, but that's one movie. They need to pick it up. And we as watchers, we need to be careful that we aren't carefree with these kind of things. The fact is, we can stop preaching what we believe, but they never will, okay? When we stop talking, oh, I believe this, I don't think that movies should be woke, I don't think they should be preaching politics at us. Okay, but when you stop saying that, they won't. They're going to keep making films with all that junk in it, and you're going to keep watching it because you've accepted that narrative. They're going to change what was all fun and games. They're going to change what was enjoyable, what the family could sit down and watch, and they're going to change it to something where you can't sit down and watch a film without being preached at. And preached at about not good things. Very bad things. And we can't accept that. They're just going to keep shoving it down our throats. And we need to have the guts to say enough is enough. And that's the point I'm at. Where I just want a good film. The film The Bad Guys was good. And obviously, who could have guessed, but that was not Disney. How to Train Your Dragon, not Disney. Kung Fu Panda, not Disney. What's the point? Well, the point is that other people are rising to the occasion, and they are making good movies, and now Disney is not. Disney can't come up with an original idea, it seems like. So, what do we do? Well, we need to support those people who are making good movies. Yeah, go enjoy those movies, and have the freedom to choose what we want to watch, right? Go decide what you want to watch. And one more thing, when you support these other films, when Disney sees that these other companies are doing better than they are, that's going to be putting pressure on them. And they, to keep up with those other companies, will begin, hopefully, slowly progressing towards better filmmaking. And in that case, you're going to be a lot more happy with what your eyes are seeing. And so I think it's really important. We need to decide what we're watching. We need to decide what's being made. Because as the people who are consuming it, as the consumers, we need to put pressure on the producers so that they're putting out quality content. And lately it's not been so. So, if they're putting out a film that's clearly trying to push agenda, anything that's woke, don't watch it. Don't go to the theaters. Don't show any support for it. We already did this kind of successfully with the Snow White film. The theaters were abysmally empty. Like, record-breaking empty. It was bad. And we can do that again. It's not unkind. It's not cruel. And it's rather unkind of them to not keep their audience in mind and keep producing this garbage. So I would like to see better filmmaking, which would be great. If it's quality films you want, then show them what quality is. Okay? So go support good films. and really make them take their time on a new project. Make them want to be good. Let's get back to the classics. Let's get back to when filmmaking was good, right? And the writing was good, the dialogue was good, and that'll be amazing. We'll be watching good films now. There's tons of good stuff out there. Go to the classics. You can have the same amount of fun or satisfaction after watching those films than the new ones, if not more. Like, genuinely. If I watch The Patriot, if I watch Lord of the Rings, okay, I'm going to enjoy that a lot more than watching Rachel Ziegler and her bob haircut and the 7 fake dwarves and a really mad queen. So, and an apple that has poison. So what I'm trying to say is, go watch good movies. It'll be good for you. You're going to enjoy it. Your head's going to be a lot happier with you. And, to be fair, listen, good movies are worth it, okay? When the Hobbit films were coming out, and obviously a lot of controversy with the Hobbit films, not like the books, well, whatever. If the books were never made, the Hobbit films would have been, still have been, a super great hit. Because they were well made. They were just off the book, which I understand. It is a reasonable hate towards them, and I do agree with some of it. It didn't need to be 3 films, but what I am saying is people were waiting and waiting for the next film. If there's going to be a Snow White 2 with the same actors, I would be like committing harikiri before that, okay? Because I'm not going through that again. That was one time. It never should have been a thing, actually. I should never have watched that film. I'm regretting it, but here's the fact. Nobody wants a second one. You can make a second one, but I'm not going to watch it. And you can make a sequel to any of the garbage you've made, and I'm not going to watch it. Because I won't waste my time. These are moments you'll never get back in your life. In the film industry, listen, when they put out trash, and you waste moments of your life watching that trash, like a movie that's an hour and 30 minutes, you're never getting those hours and 30 minutes back. When I watched Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, I never got those moments back. I shot, however long that movie is, that amount of time of my life watching that film, and I really regret it. I could have been doing something productive. But instead, I had to go through the woke teachings that movie was shoving at me, the horrible songwriting, the horrible dialogue, for its running time. So, keep that in mind, and choose what you're watching wisely. So they can spend some time getting better. Everyone's going to love that. We all want to see them get better. That'll be great. And really, I'm excited to see what the future holds. I think that good stuff is like The Bad Guys 2 is coming out. We were all excited for that. I saw Gladiator 2. That was a pretty cool movie, actually. Better than I expected. And I think, here's the fact. It can get better. Believe it or not, we can get better. I know we can. It's just a matter of trying. Try again. In fact, once you don't succeed, try again. For Disney, if you don't succeed a million times in a row, you can try again. There's always hope, somewhere, somehow. But that's it for today, guys. The world's crazy, but I'm crazier. That is very true. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and have a great Sunday.